Hello everyone, my name is Mr. Blagan, the math teacher here at Mifflin High School, and if you're watching this video, you would like credit for quarter one. I would like that too. Let's talk about how we can do that together. First, let's look at the summative project together, and I'll talk about the criteria one step at a time that I need you to do in order to receive credit for the first quarter. First of all, if you've already received credit for the first quarter, you don't need to watch this video and you don't need to do this assignment. That's the good news. If you did fail the first quarter, all hope is not lost. Even if you have a 0%, you can still demonstrate mastery by completing the steps that I'll outline. First, you have to have achieved at least 25% mastery of the Algebra 1 ALEKS curriculum. ALEKS is our online learning platform. If you haven't logged in yet, you'll need to take that initial knowledge check and either meet or exceed a 25% both from your knowledge check and from any of the work you do until you complete this assignment. It's likely that you'll see the topics you need in order to complete this assignment in that 25% of the class. However, we can talk about which topics will help you get the skills you need to complete this assignment. Let's go into ALEKS. I'll be logging into ALEKS with this fake name here, Jane Doe. She doesn't exist, so there's no need of exposing her data. Once you've completed your initial ALEKS knowledge check, this is what your homepage will look like in ALEKS. You'll see a pie in the center that shows what you've learned through the course. You may see a number of topics here, but if you click the center of the pie, it'll change to a percentage. I need you to be at least at 25% in order to qualify for credit for the first quarter or 25% of the year. Now there's a few ways you can get there. You can simply continue your path, or you can target the topics that will help you complete this assignment. Let's do that here. The topics you'll need to focus on are dealing with whole numbers, equations and expressions, as well as linear equations, since I'm going to give you the equation of a line. So if you click here, you'll notice that I've completed 0 of the topics for linear equations. It's going to be very difficult for Jane here to be able to complete the project if she hasn't done any topics on linear equations. Now, the other method of learning topics in ALEKS is if you go to the upper left-hand corner and learn, it'll set you on your path. But if we're not interested in completing topics about fractions right now, we will need those later. But if you only need to focus on the topics you need for this assignment, we can click this drop down here and it'll allow us to choose our topic. So we see a lot of these yellow whole numbers, but I need to find some linear functions. You'll notice there's very few topics available to me right now for functions and lines. Here I have a sequence, which relates to a linear function, reading a point in quadrant 1, plotting a point in quadrant 1, and that's it. It's because I haven't explored enough of ALEKS to have the foundational skills in terms of moving around and manipulating equations to be able to write a linear function yet. So while I certainly will need to know how to plot a point in the first quadrant, as well as to how to read a point in the first quadrant, since part of your assignment will be to identify the x and y-intercepts. That will be reading a point. I could choose to learn this topic and see if it'll unlock more in the functions and lines path, or if I need to complete some more of the whole numbers and specifically expressions and equations operations before that's unlocked. Either way, you should focus on filling up your linear equations as well as whole numbers pie slices. If you do both of those, you'll likely be close to 25%. That will fulfill the first requirement in order to qualify to complete the project to earn credit for the first quarter. Let's look at the task we need to complete and the websites we'll need to use to do so. Once I have 25% mastery, I need to complete a summative project. You will be given an equation by me, and you'll need to record via Screencastify the process of you completing these 4 steps in order to manipulate, graph, identify, as well as come up with a new equation that'll be perpendicular to your line. Before we get to those, let's talk about Screencastify, since the first thing I need to know how to do is record with Screencastify. You'll notice in the links array below my assignment is a link to Screencastify. I'm going to click this link, and it will take me to the Chrome Web Store. Now, I've already added this to the Chrome Web Store, but following this link will allow you to add Screencastify to Chrome. This will allow you to record videos on your Chromebook. Now, the free version has a 5-minute time limit, so you cannot exceed 5 minutes. And you'll notice all of the 4 tasks I ask you to do, I require a 2 to 5 minute video. This is important because if you exceed 5 minutes, you won't be able to save and share your video with me. Now, after we've added Screencastify to Chrome, we'll need to do each of these tasks. So you'll see here we have to manipulate an equation in Whiteboard.fi. Well, here's the link to Whiteboard.fi, so let's go there. Here in Whiteboard.fi, you'll be able to create your own virtual whiteboard, and it has text, drawing, as well as an equation editor. This is the majority of what we'll be doing here, is dealing with equations. So let's go ahead and insert some math. Now, I will give you an equation that'll be scrambled up. So a linear equation, but not in slope-intercept form. You'll have to get it there. So let's just put down an equation. Now, this equation certainly isn't in standard form, but let's insert it anyway. You'll need to record yourself, just like I'm recording myself, changing this from the scrambled form into slope-intercept form. So if you've already completed the ALEKS video on slope-intercept form, you should know that your slope-intercept form should look like y equals mx plus b. So you'll be filming yourself trying to get your equation to this form. So if I were to do that, in this example, I'm filming myself, I need to explain how I'm going to manipulate this equation. So let's move this off to the side and talk about the how I would do this. So the first thing I need to do is get y by itself. That means all these x's need to be together on the right-hand side. So I'm going to choose my pencil tool. I'm going to use a different color just so we can notice that we're performing an operation. I'm going to use opposite operations to subtract 3x. When I perform an operation on one side, I must perform the same operation on the other side of the equation. So I need to subtract 3x from both sides. On the left, positive 3x and negative 3x will cancel. On the right, 5x minus 3x will result in 2x. So let's rewrite our equation now with that change. We still had on the left y over 2, but we've subtracted 3x from both sides, so we're left with 2x minus 2. Now you'll need to make sure your video is 2 to 5 minutes in length, so you can't spend too long explaining this. You're going to have to possibly record a second time. I take lots of takes and do some edits in my videos, so this will be good practice for you to make sure you are efficient and that you are possibly even reshooting yourself when you realize some inefficiencies, such as right now, having this idle banter, rather than completing math. Now we need to get y by itself. It's being divided by 2. So let's do the opposite operation of division. I'm going to use a different color since I'm doing a different operation. Here, I need to get y by itself. It's being divided by 2. So I need to do the opposite operation. I'm going to multiply both sides by 2. Now this is simple. Multiplying something by 2 and dividing something by 2 will result in just that thing by itself. So these will cancel. On the right, when I multiply this whole side by 2, the 2 will distribute to each of these terms. On the left side, I'll simply be left with y. On the right, 2 times 2x will be 4x. 2 times negative 2 will be negative 4. So let's rewrite our final version of this equation. Y equals 4x minus 4. So in this example, I now have an equation in the form y equals mx plus b. Now you'll need to have learned the ALEKS topic for slope-intercept form to 1, understand why I'm doing this, and 2, understand how the m and the b will affect how your graph looks in Desmos. Let's go back to our prompt and explain the next tool you'll need to use after Whiteboard.fi gives you a slope-intercept form of your equation. Once we've completed part A, changing the equation to slope-intercept form through Whiteboard.fi, you'll notice this should be a 2 to 5 minute video, and I call it video A. You can name it whatever you like. If you want to keep it A, B, C, D, that'd be really easy for me to understand and grade, but please do have these as separate videos since you're going to need to attach 4 videos. And if you try to get all these videos together, you're going to exceed the 5-minute limit you have in Screencastify, the free version. The second task is to graph the line with the Desmos graphing calculator. Again, I have that linked here. So let's go over to Desmos and see what that looks like. I'm here in Desmos, and I have a graph and I have a line. Well, not a graphed line, but a line for me to type on. I will need to have completed part A in order to graph my line, since I would like my line to be in slope-intercept form. From part A, in this example, y was equal to 4x minus 4. When I type that, it automatically populates this line. But I need to make sure in my video I explain what the parts of this equation are. So what's the m and the b? To do that, I could type a generic equation, y equals mx plus b. You'll notice in Desmos, it'll ask me if I want to add variables. I do, because I want to know how m and b affect my line, so I can explain it with the example problem I've been given. Well, I see as I move my b, my line goes up and down because b is the y-intercept. So our y-intercept is -4. As we change the m, our line changes its slope, its pitch, how fast it goes up and right or down and right once we go into the negatives. So our slope is positive. That means it should go up and right very quickly. So we might want to explain that our rise and run were rise 4, run 1, which is why we arrive at the point 1, 0 from the point 0, -4. We rose 4 and ran 1 for our slope. We started our graph at -4 on the y-axis since b is -4, our y-intercept. This would be a video explaining in this example how we graph this line. Thus, I've completed part B. Once you've graphed the line, the next thing you'll have to do is make a video identifying the x and y intercepts, if they exist, with the Desmos graphing calculator. Assuming we've sufficiently explained our problem, then we should already know the y-intercept is where we started graphing our line. It's the b, the value of b. Our x-intercept is where our line crosses the x-axis. When I click this point, it identifies it because this is an intersection on the x-axis. If I change my equation, and let's say I had a different slope, you'll notice there's still a clickable point here. This is my x-intercept. In other words, where my line passes the x-axis. And here, this is my y-intercept, where the line passes the y-axis. This video should be relatively simple, assuming you have the right equation for your line, as well as you did a good job explaining in video B what the parts of your line were. The final task is to write the equation of and to graph a perpendicular line with the Desmos graphing calculator. So in Desmos, I need a second line that should be perpendicular to my first line. Now I'm just going to put y equals mx plus b in here. Again, I have my sliders, and let's see what that means. Perpendicular lines should meet at a 90-degree angle. I'm going to try changing my b. Now if we look at the angle these meet in an acute angle here and an obtuse angle here. When I change my b, those angles remain the same. It just changes where that intersection happens. Now when I change my m, I notice that I start to get closer to and maybe arrive at a 90-degree angle. But unfortunately, you can't just guess. We'll need to figure out mathematically what it means to have a perpendicular line. So their slopes should be negative reciprocals of one another. If you completed the ALEKS topics, you probably know what that means. So you could either use your knowledge from graphing perpendicular lines in ALEKS or knowledge of what negative reciprocals are in order to create the slope for your perpendicular line. Of course, everyone's lines that I give them, as well as their perpendicular lines, will be different from each other, so I have no problem revealing this information. This is more of a tutorial to explain to you what I expect from your end product. You do not need to show your face, as I am in the upper right-hand corner here, but you can if you choose to. However, you do need to narrate your explanations with Screencastify, so you'll need to make sure your microphone is enabled, as well as maybe once you've finished your first video, rewatch it to ensure that 1, it's less than 5 minutes so you can share it with me, and 2, that your audio recorded and I can hear it. I can't grade it if I can't hear your explanation. Once you've completed all 4 videos, you're going to submit this in Classroom and attach all 4 of those videos with either the links from Screencastify or attach them from your Google Drive where they'll be saved so that I can view and grade your videos. you need to earn a combined score of 70 out of 100 or greater in order to receive passing credit for quarter one. However, if you fail to reach this value, you can try again with a new equation. Just make sure you request a new equation from me. Hopefully this video helps you understand if you failed quarter one, what you can do and the expectations of you in order to first get through enough of ALEKS to have learned 25% of the course. And second, demonstrate that you understand that knowledge by making me 4 videos of you manipulating, graphing, identifying, and creating a perpendicular line for your equation. Hope you guys have a great day, everyone. Good luck, and I really do hope we can be successful together. Bye-bye!